Ann Russon, a technology journalist, for a closer look at how this might affect Huawei's position in the industry. Mary, thank you for joining us here on the program, Ann. The U.S. has expanded its lawsuit against Huawei, accusing the Chinese telecoms giant of a decades-long plan to steal technology from U.S. firms. What's the basis for these accusations?
Well, the basis of these accusations is that the US government continues to insist that Huawei is basically, when it's bringing its technology into the US, that it's basically conducting spying and that it's not safe to be using any sort of Huawei telecoms equipment in any sort of networks or in corporations or enterprises.
Mm-hmm. So Huawei is one of the world's biggest smartphone makers, as we know, and it says that the U.S. is targeting it because its expansion is a threat to American business interests. Do you think that's true?
I'm starting to believe that there is a strain of truth in that, and a lot of journalists are starting to believe that there is some of that going on, because if you're a telecoms journalist and you actually understand the way mobile networks are run, there's so many different pieces. It's like a very complicated puzzle. So what the UK has actually done is said, look, we're going to use Huawei kit. We can't really afford to take out existing old Huawei kit from our networks. It would cost a huge amount of money, but we're not going to put it into the core where all of the sensitive computing and the customer information is held. We're going to put it on the outer sides of the network. So that's the compromise that the UK government has basically said. But the US is still not happy with that because they really wanted the UK to just outright ban Huawei technology completely from the network.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because the U.S. is pushing for its partners such as the United Kingdom to ban Huawei technology outright, as you said, maintaining that the company's equipment could be used for spying by China. But despite this, the U.K. announced that it would continue using Huawei technology in its growing 5G networks, but with restrictions, as you talked about. So how difficult is it for countries to kind of walk this line in dealing with the United States, but at the same time using a company like Huawei, which really is, the leader here with 5G technology?
So, it seemed, so I wasn't really sure how this was going to go. On one hand, it seemed likely that the UK was likely to ban the technology because they really want that trade deal with the US. But, they didn't. They just said, we're not going to put it in the core. We're going to put it onto outer sides of the network so that it's less dangerous, it's less important. And apparently, the FT reported last Friday that Trump was really angry with Boris Johnson on the phone about that. However, the attitude from the US, from the White House, seems to be calming down a bit. It seems to be toning down because one of their senior officials recently spoke at a conference of the last couple of days. And he basically said, he seemed to sort of hint that the White House was sort of moving on and saying, it depends what part of the network that you put it in, and at least it's not in the most sensitive part. So it almost seems like the initial reaction from Trump was to get angry, but then, it must be important to have the UK-US relations because they've kind of walked that back a bit and almost seem to be conceding that the way the UK is doing it, i.e. not putting, Huawei technology into the core of the network, which is really crucial, it is sort of, in a way, part compromise to doing partly what they wanted, if not completely what they wanted.
All right, Ann Russon live in London. Ann, thank you.